Hi, Nathaniel.
Hello, how you doing?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining me on your Monday morning.
It's a
It is Monday,
pleasure.
right?
It is. Yeah, it is. It's Monday morning. It is. I've had a lovely weekend away, so I'm really kind of having to like wind myself up to get going. But this is a lovely way to start my Monday and start my week.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, we're it's a public holiday here today. It's Anzac Day, so it's the day we.
Happy Anzac Day to everyone.
Yeah. Well, everybody goes to the pub and plays something called Two Up, which is some kind of celebration. But yes, long weekend here, and I've been very relaxed and kind of doing loads of actory type things. So it's good to continue on that vein with a lovely chat with yourself. So again, thank you so much for agreeing to have a chat with me today. I'm really excited to kind of talk about I guess some choices you've made given your life situation when it comes to acting. So let me, I guess, start off with the kind of standard question I ask is, what kind of got you into this space in the first place? What was your attraction to wanting to perform?
Well, actually, my mum was into amateur dramatics, has been all her life, and has been a long-standing member of a local amateur dramatic theatre company. And I was in the womb when she was in a play. So,
Okay.
and she was in a play actually, which required her to be in a bikini. And it finished, and then she got pregnant with me, and then it was revived again. I think they entered it into a competition or something, and so my mum had to revive this role, but was like sort of like 7 months pregnant with me, and had to be in a bikini. So she had to like expertly hold like a magazine in front of her, like her tummy and stuff. So I think I always joke that I got the acting bug from that really, but I guess I was always around. Around sort of performance with my mum being in that, and she used to take me down and she'd do the costumes, and I was always fascinated, like going into the costume room, and it was in this old church, and it was all kind of old corridors and backstage. It was just all really exciting. So that's really how I got the bug, and I started, I was in their like young company there, and then I started doing stuff at school, and then I was in the National Youth Theatre, and it sort of all kind of snowballed from there, really.
Oh yeah, wow, lovely. So you started from quite a young age, well, apart from the being in the womb part, when you could actually act, you started from quite a young age.
Yeah, I think from like my early teenage years, really, I was really into it, and I was kind of really serious. I was having I went to dance classes as well.
Okay.
I did all the arts at school that I could, so I was really really into it and really enthusiastic from a very young age.
Yeah, cool. Was it, I guess, was there a decision point of like, this is what I want to do as a career, or did you just kind of like keep going?
I think there was a moment where I thought, oh, maybe there is a career in this. But I do think there was a sense of, my parents are really supportive, and I've got two older brothers and a younger sister, and they've really supported us to do whatever we want to do, like whatever brings us joy in life. But I do think there's a lot telling you not to do it still.
Yeah.
and I
don't think that ever goes away, no matter how old you are.
No, so there's a lot telling you not to do it, and I think one of the things looking back now as a bit older, and with a bit more experience, is actually I think that we do a disservice because we don't actually explain to young people the breadth of opportunity that there is within the arts, because you can be an actor, but you can also be a theatre maker, which is a totally different thing. You can be a performance artist, you can be a producer, you can be all of those things all rolled into one. You can move into arts marketing. There is so much breadth for you to express yourself in this industry, not just being, centre stage, or on screen. So I think we do a disservice in a way, because I think that's the reason why we go, oh, there's no point, because there's enough wannabe actors out there. I don't want to just join the back of the queue. And instead, I think we don't encourage people to forge their own path through that, or we don't show them what those options are. So there was lots of times definitely where it was like, I'm not sure whether I'm making the right choice here, but still went ahead and did it.
Yeah, sure. Well, clearly, and you're being very successful at doing it. What if I like to kind of delve into people's mindsets when they say that that's they're considered whether they should or shouldn't kind of continue on, and see how you may or may not have dealt with those with that thought process. How do you kind of approach those negative conversations that we might have with ourselves around whether it is or is not the right path?
I think, I mean, my journey as an actor is quite complicated, really. I've only really, whatever the benchmark of success is, but for me, I've only really felt like in the last few years, I've really hit my stride as a theatre maker, as an actor, as a creative. I've always been working in this industry, and that's not to do with, success of being in a TV show or whatever, but it's about being fulfilled, and I really feel fulfilled, and that I actually earn a living from this job. Now, I think there's plenty of times in the past where I've just gone, I'm not very good. I'm just not cut out for this. I think you enter the industry, particularly if you go and study, if you go to drama school. I went to a university, but I still did a drama course, and you do that, and you've gone through that world of, maybe being in youth theatres, and it's really great because, like, if you're in a youth theatre production, like, everyone's going to tell you it's good. Like, no one's going to turn around and say, like, you weren't very good. Like, you get praised, and that's right. Obviously, we're building people up where, and lots of those are places that you audition to get into as well. So there is an element of like, okay, I'm achieving something. Maybe I am good at my craft. Maybe I am learning and growing. And then you kind of get into the real world, and you're just like, it's a million times harder than what people said. And then the seeds of doubt come in, and then the minute you have those, or you have any of those anxieties, tuning in with your best performance is really hard. I think that's why kids are really good at performing, because they don't have that self-critical lens. Yeah. They don't care. They don't care, like, am I being too camp in this performance, or, am I not convincing or whatever? You just go for it, because you're just playing pretend. And I think that's the skill as an adult, is to unlearn all the adult behaviours and go back to that playfulness of being a child. So there's been so many times when I've just gone, you're no good. And actually, there are times when I've looked at my performance and gone, you're no good. Not in a I don't have any confidence way. Actually, that performance wasn't good enough, because maybe I've become complacent or self-sabotaged or whatever. And that's when you have to, as an actor, you have to be able to be critical like that and move forwards from it, not let that, like, make you crumble, if that makes sense. Yeah, no, it makes total sense. So what you're saying is what I'm taking from that is there is potentially a need to be able to be critical of yourself, but for the positive, as opposed to be self-critical and tell yourself that you can't do it and that you're not good at what you do. Is that what you've done over the years when you have those kind of moments of doubt? No. So what I've done over the years is just been self-critical and just gone, you're not good enough. And you start to play it smaller, and you start to play your world smaller. And you have to. There's a real fine line as a performer in having confidence, but it can't be feigned confidence. You have to be really truly have a true belief in your ability, but you can't also have a blind, like, confidence where you're blind to the fact that you're not actually achieving what you need to achieve. As a performer, the talented performers are 10 a penny. Like, we're not special. Like, there are hundreds of thousands, millions of people who are really good performers. The thing that sets out the ones that achieve are the ones that understand that it is a tool, it's a craft, it's a skill, it needs honing, it needs practice, constant practice. And that you don't become complacent and just going, I nailed that self-tape, I was really good in that one role. Fine, but if you want to carry on and have a career, you've got to keep testing yourself and try new things. Yeah, and keep pushing. For sure. So, I've got, I guess I've got a couple of questions around when you started out, because you kind of made a comment about what success is, and
that for you was being fulfilled and working in this chosen field. When you first started out, when you were a teenager and decided that this is what you wanted to do, what was your idea of making it at that point in your life? Not necessarily what you find successful now, but when you first started out, you're like, I want to be an actor, I want to be in theatre, or I want to be on TV. What was your idea of, if I achieve this, I will have made it?
I think I'm of the 80s mega musical generation, so I'm like all the Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals, which are just the most bonkers musicals anyway. You know, my mum was obsessed with Cats. We used to have Cats on in the car all the time, and I remember going to see it probably about age 8 or 9 or something, and just being like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a cat in Lycra on a stage singing like rock opera and dancing to my that's probably what it was. That was the dream, because it was so, I mean, just so enticing. You go into that space and you just even as an adult, you just swept along. Even Cats is just the most bonkers, ridiculous musical, but the performances are incredible. You know, they are athletes. They are right at the top of the game. And it was that really, I think, you know, I'd go see musicals and go, that is what I want to do. And I very quickly realised that I just didn't have the discipline to get to that stage. I don't think, you know, and you know, I was then became, you know, it went into my teenage years and my young adult years as a gay man, and kind of other things took my interest probably away from that. And you do have to be. I know people who are musical theatre performers and they dedicate themselves to that thing and that one thing only. And hats off to them for doing that. But I realised that probably wasn't going to bring me the fulfillment that I thought it would. Yeah, sure. No, I can. Yeah, I definitely do not have the dedication or resilience to try and make it as a musical performer. That is for sure. But every time I go and see a musical, I imagine myself on stage and like. It's so immersed every single time. I'm not watching. I mean, I'm watching it for the story, obviously, but every single time I'm like, oh, I wish I was up there doing that myself. You do. You get lost in it, don't you?
It's so easy. It's so easy. So you're, as you've just kind of said, you're a gay man. I don't know how old you are, and I don't know if it's appropriate to ask how old you are.
Never ask a gay man his age.
Well, I won't. However, when you were young and knew you were gay, because let's face it, we all knew relatively young that we were gay. Did you have a concern that would affect your ability to kind of make a career as an actor? Yeah,
100%. I mean, I will. I'm 35. So
don't look a day over 34, darling.
Thank you. Thanks. I knew. I always talk about, you know, I don't think I ever. There wasn't a realization when people go, oh, when did you know you were gay? I was like, well, I just am. So I just. There wasn't a day when all of a sudden I knew I was. It's a journey of discovery to understanding that. But I knew very early on that I was different. And there's this really interesting dichotomy in the arts where for young queer people, like the theatre is like a safe haven, isn't it? It's where all the freaks and weirdos go at school, to the theatre club, or you know, or to the youth theatre. I used to work for a number of theatre companies that run youth theatres. And you see the I say this with great love and affection, the weirdos and the kids that don't fit in, and they come and they can't hardly communicate with one another because they're so anxious and kind of wrapped up in all that self-consciousness. And then 2 weeks later, they're all like, they've dyed their hair red, you know, they've like, they're dressed in the way that they want to, and they found their tribe. And it really is like a sense of finding your tribe. But then, but you've got that. But then on the other hand, actually, when you get into the adult world of theatre and television and film, particularly television and film, it is not a very LGBTQ friendly space or place to be. And I didn't realise that. I was auditioning, and in this world, when I first started out, I was I was with quite a commercial agent, so there was lots of things for advertising and modelling, and for kind of big telly kind of gigs, and I didn't realise how much they were sort of surreptitiously trying to drive the gay out of me. So there was this kind of subtle thing of like, for those that can't see me, I've got pink hair now, and there was this thing of like, you need to be a certain way, you need to look a certain way. And I've got friends who went to drama school who were told, like, your voice is too camp, you need to tone down your gay. Like, and I'm just like, I cannot believe that at drama school, people were told that, and are still told that in some drama schools. They're told to be less of who you are in order to get work. Yeah. That's not, that for me, that's just not okay anymore. But I just think, looking back, I realise how much anxiety I had around being gay in the spaces where I needed to try and get work. So in auditions, in workshops, in castings, whilst doing work. Maybe that was my own internalised fear that I was kind of projecting, but it was still there. So I've been very aware of my gay identity alongside my career for a very long time.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I've also had to think about a lot. Not had to, because... Sorry, let me rephrase. It's something that I personally have obviously thought about a lot as well. I haven't, I guess, in my own personal career, I haven't reached a point where I'm out there auditioning all the time and it's necessarily an issue per se. But it's definitely something that I've had to think about. How did you kind of push past that, I guess, self-talk of like, do I look too gay? Do I sound too gay? Is this an industry for me kind of thing? How did that affect choices that you made about your career moving forward?
Yeah, well, if I go back so I say that I really started my trajectory to feeling who I am wholly as a person and in my career in 2017. So I was diagnosed with HIV when I was 16. That's out in the public eye. I've told that story many times, and that also was interlinked with this internalized homophobia, this internalized shame, and the shame of living with HIV. And I kept that secret from my family and from very many people in my life, and that impacted my life in so many negative ways psychologically. And by 2017, I was leading very heavily on alcohol and drugs. I was in a toxic relationship. Everything. My career has stagnated. I was self-sabotaging. I used to think I was just nervous when I went to auditions. I had anxiety disorder, which is a totally different thing. You can't even think straight with an anxiety disorder. You can't even remember lines because your brain is so foggy. So I guess all that happened. And then in 2017, I said, enough's enough. I need to do something about this. I need to tell the world about all this stuff that's going on. I need to tell my family. And so, as a performer and as a theatre maker, I guess, because that's probably what I would define myself as, I went, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to put it out there. And I went on this journey to making, a solo show called First Time. And it was really that journey over the last 3 years of telling that story and moving to authenticity, which has really showed me that I wasted so much time in that other place, that fearful place of being worried about being myself. This idea that, that if I was wholly myself, I wouldn't get cast in roles. And it's like, well, there are roles for people like me. And if there aren't, I'll go out and make them. That was, was one of the reasons why I made the show. I was like, no one's giving me any work, so I'll make some. And I think, what I do now is I surround myself with people who make me feel good, both in my personal life and my professional life. So me and my friend Chris Hoyle created a theatre company called DB Theatre. We're an LGBTQ-led and inclusive company, and we're trying to really do things differently and make a space that feels welcoming for people like us and for the broader, LGBTQ umbrella. And, my friend Kate O'Donnell, who's a trans woman and an incredible artist as well, and runs a company called Trans Creative. I met with her the other day, and she was like, she's like, look, when I get brought in to do like I think she did a role at the Royal Exchange, which is a big theatre in Manchester, and it was in Gypsy. And there was this big thing, like they'd cast a trans woman in this role and stuff. And Kate was like, great, I'll lap it up. But she's like, she in the work that she's doing, she's like, everyone's trans. She's like, in our world, everyone is like this. So it's not that radical. Although the sort of cis-het world thinks it's really radical or really forward thinking. And actually, I think that's nice, because if you create spaces where you can radically be yourself, when you're then brought into another space that isn't yours, you go there feeling 100% comfortable to be yourself boldly.
Yeah.
And I think there's something very important in that, because you if you're living authentically, that's when things work, or in my opinion anyway. So so I decided to surround myself with people that made me feel good, and and not to just go not be a pick-me actor and just go to anything and say, that's, if someone's saying I'll audition for this, and going, actually, is it right for me? Is it right for me? Is it right for me at this time? Does it make me? Is it going to bring me joy? If it's not, then it's not the right thing to do. Which is hard when you're trying to build a career. I want to be an actor. I want to have success. So.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I can only imagine, like, the element of, which obviously I've been through, of I'm a gay man. The acting world doesn't accept gay men really as much as we want them to have to deal with that, to then also go through the diagnosis of HIV and then consider what that means as well. So it was 16 that you were diagnosed, right? So you've had nearly 20 years of I guess 3 different, I think we've gone through different times over the last 20 years of, so when you were diagnosed, probably still very much, not the same kind of death sentence as it was, but it was still very stigmatized and a scary world. So I can only imagine how that would have affected your thought processes to your career. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, so it was life limiting, not life threatening, but life limiting when I was diagnosed in 2003. I was given a prognosis. So I was given this is very specific. It was 37 years. So it was this is to face your own mortality. At that age, is a big thing. But to also be diagnosed with probably one of the world's most stigmatized illness, if not the most stigmatized illness in the world, and to have to kind of unpick all that and work through your own shame around that, but then also navigate everyone else's shame and navigate relationships and navigate rejection and people telling you that you're dirty or feeling that yourself, really internalizing that. I always talk about HIV as a gay man is almost like the internalized homophobia made real in your body physically. So it's very powerful, and it's taken a long time and a number of breakdowns and bad relationships, like I say, drugs, alcohol, all that. It may be slightly more extreme than most people go through, but I think everyone goes through those challenges as well. And to a point where I've gone, no, actually, I want to live, I want to be happy, I want to be healthy and successful, and I can do that, but it's going to need some extra help and a lot of therapy.
Yes, I can imagine. Well, look, it's fantastic that you were able to turn that into something positive with your show. First time, yeah. That was the first time. I have some friends that have seen it and have spoke very highly of it. So. Will it go on the road again, or is it something that's over now, or?
Well, it was interrupted by another pandemic, which was very, very rude, as all our lives were. But we relaunched a tour in autumn 21, and that finished in a few weeks ago, really, on the 100th show, and I've sort of said that it's time for me to draw a line in the sand, partly because the show itself is really difficult to perform. It's obviously reliving lots of painful trauma from my past. So it's not actually the actual performance of it doesn't affect me, but be it living in that over a number of weeks can really have a negative impact on my,
of course,
my health and well-being. So we decided that we'd put a line in the sand for now. It is a published script, which I can't even believe, and I have to pinch myself when like I'm a published playwright. But never say never. Never say never. We have put it to bed for a bit, maybe.
Sure.
And maybe there is a time in the future where it might come back. I've actually said if someone with the right money comes along, I'll do it. So if anyone anyone on the theatre scene in Australia wants to bring it over, let me know. I've heard anyone in New York, I'm game. Like, you let me know, and
sure.
If you can stump up the cash, I'll turn up.
I love it.
As you know, over the past few years, self-tapes have become the norm, and they are being used by more and more industry professionals to cast all sorts of productions. I've personally recorded self-tapes for theatre, and TV and film, and commercials, and it makes life easier for casting as they can see more options. But what isn't easy for us actors is finding someone to read for us in the moment that we need them. That's where We Audition comes in. We Audition is an online video chat community where you can call someone that has marked themselves available, and they will read for you for your audition. You can use We Audition to rehearse, film, or just ask questions that may help your audition. Last year I had an actor contact me who had never drank alcohol, who just wanted to know how to play drunk. You can sign up to We Audition to be a reader yourself. I log into We Audition most days and I just leave it on, and people call and I accept, and I help them with their auditions. So you can earn a little extra cash doing that, and you can just meet some great people. I even helped one of the main cast of Morning Wars tape an audition towards the end of last year. Look, it's a great platform, and if you're going to sign up to be a reader, it basically pays for itself. So if you want to sign up to be a reader on We Audition, you can get 25% off using the Actors Making It discount code MAKINGIT. So just go to www.weaudition.com and use the code MAKINGIT when you sign up.
So, I mean, obviously, as you kind of referred to yourself as a theatre maker, but you have been in, you've been on our screens in a couple of my own favourite TV shows. Personally, Cucumber, which I thought was hilarious and amazing. And obviously It's a Sin. So are those, given that you say you're a theatre maker, is TV and screen work something that you chase or that you're interested in as well? Or is it just more that it was the right role for you?
I will take the gigs if they come. But one of the things, if we talk about those pressures as a performer, to be in It's a Sin, it's nominated for 11 BAFTAs, and it just won 2 last night actually. So it was the Craft BAFTAs last night, so it won Best Director and Best Editor. So, and it's already won, a raft of awards, and it's probably going to win a fair few at the BAFTAs in a couple of weeks' time. To be in such a landmark piece of television, and the stories that it told, it's the first time that the AIDS crisis and the impact of that on the gay community has been told on British television. We have not had anything other than in soap operas. So to be part of that is incredible. I just feel like I'm never going to get anything as good as that. I feel like I've kind of reached sort of reached the pinnacle very, very quickly, and everything after this might be a little bit of a disappointment. But I think one of the pressures as an actor is like, what's next? It's the dreaded question. It's like, what's next?
Yeah.
And It's a Sin came out in the middle of a pandemic, and the TV industry is only just gearing up. I'm not an actor that has pursued a TV and film career, so I have a very limited show reel. Getting work is not the easiest. I've been casting since It's a Sin. I've not had anything, and there is that thing in me going, what's the next thing? What's the next thing that I can announce that people go, oh, amazing, he's in that, he's doing this thing? Because the rest of the cast are doing brilliant, incredible things. But actually, I have to keep that voice in check. That's one of the things I'm really, really trying not to do, because that's not being authentic. That's not being genuine. Like, just going, I want to be in that thing because it means I'll get some praise for being in it, is not the reason why I should be doing it. And there is another actor that probably deserves it more than me, than, you know, if I'm just seeking it for that validation. So I'm really trying to keep that in check and go, you know, enjoy It's a Sin, enjoy going to, you know, the National Television Awards that I went to, you know, enjoying all that stuff. And I've been on that roller coaster for however long it lasts. And if that's it, that's it. And that's fine. There's no shame in that. You know, there's always these articles with actors who've been in like soaps and then, like, you know, 10 years later, they're like waiting a table in a restaurant, and it's all this shame around it. And it's like, they're just earning a living. Like, it's not a big thing. Sure. So I'm trying to keep all that in check, you know, and I'm like I say, I am a theatre maker at heart, and that's where I feel most comfortable and where I feel like I have the most to give. So that's what I'm working on. You know, I'm working on another show, and creating new work. And when those opportunities, if and when they come along, I'll take them with both hands and see where they take me.
Yeah, sure. What was look, I feel like I want to ask about It's a Sin a bit more, just because I thought it was such a phenomenal show. But I mean, from what you said kind of there about it was the pinnacle, if it's the first kind of TV show that's touched on HIV and the AIDS epidemic, considering you're an advocate, is that the right word?
Yeah.
HIV advocate. Do you not think it's potentially opened up the possibility to tell more stories that are worth sharing?
I would like to say yes. Like, the optimist in me would love to say that, but I tell you what, TV execs and producers will say for the next 10 years, they'll go, "We've had that," which is what they said to Russell after Queer as Folk. No more queer dramas. We've done a queer drama. We've ticked our box. On to the next one. Forgetting that for LGBTQ people, our lives are queer all the time, like wherever. You know. So it's not just a moment in time for us. I think there is. What it has shown is that there is appetite on the mainstream channels for more LGBTQ led content, and we've seen that more on the streaming services as well. I think, obviously, with Netflix, Heartstopper's just come out, which looks incredible, and I feel like I
was just going to say, I think I'm 21 minutes into the first episode. I was watching it as I was waiting for you to to come on.
Oh, great! Yeah, I really can't wait to watch it. I've not got a Netflix subscription. I need to get it back because I want to watch that. I think mainstream TV execs of mainstream channels are, you know, becoming more open to this sort of stuff. I really do wish and hope for more stories of HIV. You know, there was interest in my story from various different networks and channels, and it's just not really progressed anywhere. And, you know, and the ones that I thought it would, you know, they were like, well, it's a sin. It's like because they've got to try and they're in a competitive market. So unfortunately, when you get to the level of TV and film, it's a lot about finance and if a show needs to be able to make back the money that it spends, and that means being popular. And unfortunately, you know, that means, you know, making sort of decisions that we might not agree with, but that's the nature of the business. That's why I love theatre more. Theatre is a medium, I think. It's still not that accessible, but it's more accessible, and I think you can tell a broader range of stories in theatre to a more targeted audience as well, because you can focus to an audience or to a particular demographic. Again, so it's a medium that I find much more exciting, really, than television and film, although I love TV and film as well.
Sure. Is it, so with your theatre company, are you, so let me rethink how I was going to ask that question. When it comes to, obviously, you went to a university and did a drama course, as you said. I haven't done a lot of theatre personally. I've done some when I was younger and like some more drama festivals kind of thing. Do you feel that education is really important to work in theatre, or can artists or performers starting out kind of move straight into theatre, do you feel?
There's a lot of snobbery in all aspects of this industry, like, you know, where have you trained, who have you worked with, all this, that and the other. And actually, for me, that can all get in the bin. Like, there is a skill, there is a craft, like, and it can be learned. I say this to everyone, you know, we get inflated egos as performers because we're put on a pedestal and people say, oh, well done for doing that thing. And actually, most people can do it. I work a lot with non-actors to create, you know, films and tell stories and all sorts of projects, and they're just as good. You're just teaching the skill. So I think anyone can get into theatre. The sort of theatre that excites me really is when is not really that high craft theatre, like the musical theatre that I thought I wanted to be in when I was a kid. You know, like it's the place where there's such exciting theatre in the UK that people won't even know about, you know, where it brings together, like, you know, musicians and performance artists and drag and all sorts of things all thrown together. And for me, telling a compelling story in a space is so exciting. And I think with our theatre company, you know, we are trying to create a space where it's the story that leads wherever we go, and whoever wants to lead that story is the person that leads that story, rather than a sort of hierarchical thing of like a playwright writes a story and we cast some actors. I'm much more interested in like seeing a real person tell their story on stage, or, you know, and actually one of the things we've been doing recently, so Chris Hoyle, who I run the company with, he's writing a play. And it wasn't very queer. There was like a drag queen in it, and I was like, this is a 6-character play, and we're an LGBTQ company. I was like, you've got to queer this play up a little bit. And he went away, and now it's predominantly LGBTQ led, and it's so much more exciting because when you do that, because we have to live our lives in opposition to a general kind of, you know, mainstream. I think you get so much more depth into those characters, and it helps. Yeah, I just think it's really exciting, and so I think for me, and I guess this comes as well from working lots of youth theatres and working with young people, and with companies that tell real stories. That I think that anyone can do it. You know, everyone has a story to tell, and they just need someone to help them, give them the tools to tell it.
Yeah, sure. So does your theatre company predominantly write and produce your own stuff, or do you get people coming in and then work with them to workshop their own plays? Currently, we only produce our own work. We have a slate that's taken us up until at least the end of 2023 doing that. Amazing.
But we have just run a course called First Dibs. So the theatre company is called Dibby Theatre. And First Dibs is a very north of England phrase, Mancunian phrase, which means like to get like the first take on something, get first dibs. So and so we've had 5 new LGBTQ playwrights do a 14-week course, developing their own ideas, their own plays, and we have that training program runs through everything that we do. So we're always trying to find opportunities to help develop LGBTQ creatives through what we do. Hopefully in the future we'll be in a capacity to maybe invite people to pitch work and produce that. There is only 3 of us that run the company, so we'll have to expand a bit before we do that.
Sure. I like to ask this question of most of my guests because, you know, I think a lot of people, when they decide I'm going to be an actor, whether it's theatre or screen or whatever, there's just this assumption that as soon as you decide, you'll just be an actor and that's all you'll need to do. Are you in a position now in your career where you only act, or produce theatre, rather, or make money and pay for the roof over your head from acting, or do you have to work in a bar or sell used underpants or socks or something online?
Yeah, but you know what? I've never done that. But I have a friend that did do it for a bit, and it was really lucrative. And I'm like, it's a nice side hustle. The short answer is no. I'm not in a position that I earn all my income from theatre or from acting or from making work either. You know, and I've, you know, on the surface of it, when people go, what does success look like? You know, in the last few years, I've had plenty of success. But I still have to hustle. You know, I was over the pandemic, and as restrictions sort of eased, I was working in my friend's hair salon on the reception, which is a job I absolutely love as well, because there's something very nice about being able to just clock in and clock out of a job and it not be all consuming, like when you're making a piece of theatre and it is literally your whole entire life from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. But I still do that, and I have lots of other things. I do arts marketing for other companies, consultation. I do public speaking. You know, I do lots of public speaking for the Terence Higgins Trust and for corporate clients, and it really is like people say, what portfolio work. You know, I write articles for a gay magazine. I do like a little bit of everything, and it's just enough just to get by. Because the difficulty is being a performer, particularly, you know, I have an agent, and, you know, they're sending me self-tapes and stuff, or, you know, and you've got to be able to sort of go, yeah, I can drop everything like tomorrow to do that job. So it's a really hard career to sustain. And, you know, I've been lucky the last couple of years. I've lived with my parents. I've just bought a house, and which I move into in just before Christmas. You know, and things next year might change. I might go, look, I'm not earning enough money. I have to. Yeah, there has to be something realistic in it, isn't there? You have to go. Yeah. I've got to earn. I've got to pay my mortgage. So no. So in the short answer is no. I don't earn a full career from acting or creative work. Most of my days are spent doing spreadsheets at the minute and budgets for productions, and you just think, this is not what I signed up for. But you know, it's all worth it in the end when.
That's a career in the arts, really, isn't it? I mean,
it is,
you've got to really love it and be really passionate about it to keep going. Otherwise, you should just go and get a job at McDonald's and clock in and clock out.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, there's also I'm trying to build, and with Jibby, we're trying to build a way of doing things that is, you know, is also going. It is just a job as well. Like it is, we can get completely consumed by it. And I say to younger actors often, I'm like, don't sacrifice your life for this career. Like, do not do that. Go and live a life, because you don't want to get to your 40s or 50s and look back and go, I didn't go traveling like I wanted to do, and that relationship didn't work out because I was too focused on trying to get this career. And you know, like it's only one part of your life. And, you know, as much as, like, you want it, like, you might get more fulfillment if you go, actually, I tried that thing for 10 years. I achieved some things I wanted to and some things that I didn't. But now, you know, I'm going to move into teaching. I'm going to do this thing. And I've got friends who've done that, and they are so happy. They're so fulfilled. Yeah. And I think that's really important to check in with yourself about that narrative of what is success and where are you going, and not completely kill yourself to get there, because actually there's no point getting to a destination if you've not enjoyed the journey to it. So
yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And I think it's a really interesting point to kind of make and delve into, because so often, like, because we're not making money a lot of the time, especially when you're starting out, you're working for free, you're doing student films, you might do a little bit of extra work or something, but you're definitely not making enough money to survive. So you're typically then working a bunch of other jobs to survive, which isn't what you want to do. So you've got to, it can become all consuming to think about just, okay, well, I want to be an actor, that's what I want to do, and I want to be successful. And if I achieve this, then I'm going to be in a better place and I can act more. And I think, I mean, I know so many people who are striving at the moment, and I feel like they don't take any time outside of that acting dream to just be and live a life. And I don't know, maybe that's something that comes with age. I mean, we're both, well, you're mid-30s, I'm late 30s, so maybe that's something that just kind of comes as you get a little bit older and realize.
Yeah, I think so, and I think there's a thing, because I mean, I always joke with my boyfriend, like, I hate actors, and and it's only because you always dislike the things in other people that you see in yourself. So I'm only saying I hate myself when I say that. And I'm like, but I do. There's a lot about this industry that I really dislike. I dislike all the kind of, there's so much elitism in it, and there's so many like gatekeepers and how you get to places, and and things, the way that actors are really treated like a commodity. Like getting a self-tape at 5 o'clock on a Friday and saying, "Can I have it on Monday morning?" And I'm just like, that's not okay. Like, I'm an actor, I'm a performer, and I have a right to have a weekend. Like, just because, that you say jump and we say how high. And because there's such a power imbalance between, the casting director or the big company making the work and the actor down here. It's like, and actually, as you get older, and particularly as I've got a bit older and I've had, moved through the industry a bit more, I feel in a better position to push back, and I think we should be doing that. Be in a union in England. Be in joint equity. Know what your rights are. They have things that casting directors are signing up to now to say, actually, no. If it's depending on the size of the role, it's 3 sides, and you must have at least 3 working days to submit a tape back. And actually, we should have that protocol. We should have all that in place, because at the end of the day, it is just a job. It is a job. It's a way to earn a living. It's a fantastic way to earn a living if you get it, and if you're in it. But also, it's a very exploitative industry, and we need to be working to make it fairer for everyone, so that people don't get exploited in it.
Yeah, I'd like to think that it's changed. Like, there's some change happening, but I'm yet to see much of it. I was just going to say, I'm a member of, I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, specifically for actors, and specifically ones in the UK and in London at the moment, and just the amount of posts that there are about paying actors or not paying actors, and how actors are exploited. I think one today was, some guy was an extra on Lord of the Rings, and one of the extras was like, "I would do this for free. It's such a privilege to be on this set for Lord of the Rings." And so we've got people trying to keep the industry honest, but then other people that are just like, "Oh, I'm just so happy to be here," that it kind of reinforces that it's perfectly fine to exploit all these people that want to make a living and make a career out of something.
And it's I've seen it in, I won't name names, but very high profile musical currently in London's West End, and they wanted to make a trailer for their show. Fantastic, make a trailer. They wanted an audience in that, and they put it out to like actors' Facebook groups, like you're talking about, like that you would come along, you get a free drink and some popcorn, and you got to watch the show. It's like the hottest ticket in town, so obviously everyone wants to go. But I was like, you need to pay them. The tickets for that show, I'm kid you not, they are upwards of £250 a seat. They can afford to pay a group of people to come and sit and watch the show, and be on camera, which is it's a job. You're paying for someone's time, even if they're just sat there doing nothing. You should be paying, and that is something is right through what we do at Dibby Theatre. Everyone has to be paid. We have a real fair base rate pay that everyone gets, from someone who's doing a bit of admin work to someone who's producing a piece of work. It's so important that we place that value on people's time, and that we just eradicate that idea of like I'm just happy to be here, like this is a great opportunity, I'm getting some exposure. Nah, that is all got to go.
No one gets any exposure.
Never. That all has to get in the bin. That is a red flag. If you see that on any job advert, run them out. Report it to your to equity. Yeah,
100%.
And get it on those Facebook
100%.
groups and go. Don't follow this flag.
I hear you. Nathanial, I'm conscious of your day. We're coming up to like 50 minutes, so I'm going to ask, I guess, one last question. Given, I guess, your bravery to have come out with your HIV status within the act, especially not just in your own life, but obviously within this particular profession, which, as you say, is so elitist and will look at any opportunity to say, no, that's like, we can't take that person on. What advice would you give to any actors that may, that may have something like HIV or anything else that they potentially not out with and ashamed of, and letting that impact their decision making when it comes to their own acting career? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say to people is you don't have to go public like I did. I went very public. I've spoken to almost every mainstream news channel in the UK, all the breakfast shows, radio, everything, and it's been a real privilege and an honour to have that platform. But I think, for me, what I've learned in going through that process and telling my family, and it's about coming to terms with it yourself. All that stuff I've done publicly is all actually about what I need to do. The new narrative that I need to tell myself, that I'm not ashamed of this thing, that it's just a virus, and that I have extra complications, like I mentioned before, generalized anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder, which needs support, and that's all right. And it's okay to ask for that. I'm really lucky. Well, actually, no, I'm not lucky. When I recently got a new agent, and I went to a number of different agents, and I spoke to them very clearly about this, and you get a vibe straight away from people. You can see the ones that get it, and they want to support you, and they want you to thrive, and they'll do whatever they can to help that. And that's move towards those people, because there are people like that out there in this industry, and there are casting directors out there that will support you. If you've got an agent that says, okay, if I'm feeling really anxious and I get a self-tape through, I know I can go to my agent and say, look, I'm having a bit of an episode. Can you go back to casting and see if they can give me some leeway or whatever? And almost every single time, the answer has been yes. So, but I can only do that because I'm now confident and comfortable to ask for what I need. And I think it's about that. It's about going, you're not an imposition by asking for what you need. Like if you had a broken leg, you would ask for extra support, and it's the same with your mental health or with any other ailment, illness. So, and actually, the more you're open about that, the less you actually need, because you're more comfortable. So, I think it's about not being scared to state what your needs are and what will help you achieve. And you'll find that most people want you to achieve. They want you to do well. Every casting director wants you to nail that casting. They want you to do really well. So yeah, I think it's about having that conversation with yourself and having people around you, or those people you can turn to that can give you that support and that extra kind of leg up when you need it.
Amazing. I think that's wonderful advice. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful. What a lovely way to start my week.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you have a wonderful week.